The world is a visual circus these days. I mean, advertising and branding is everywhere, and it's been everywhere since forever. You think about it. Cave drawings, religious symbols, political movements. Hell, advertising and branding has been part of the collective human experience for centuries. It's defined entire eras and epochs. I'm serious. Think about the Renaissance. It branded an entire continent-wide movement. I mean, that is some serious-ass branding. The fact is, advertising and branding matters, and lots of people in our industry believe that. In fact, they believe it so much, we're one of the industries that gives each other awards more than any other industry, even in France. I mean, this shit gets real. Today on Brand Edge, we'll talk about advertising awards with creative consultant David Van Fleet. Do they matter when you're looking for an agency or a branding outfit? How much? And do they matter more than the results than the ads were supposed to actually generate in the first place? Stand by. Dave is a true veteran of the ad wars. I mean, he is the original madman. Started off his career as a copywriter in a big agency, worked his way up to group creative director, and actually reinvented himself as a commercial TV director. Dave has got some game. Today, he is a creative consultant to major corporations and an educator whose passion for advertising, he tells me, gets him out of bed in the morning. That and probably looking at the Blue Jays box scores. So what I want to know is, and I think what people are really keen about is, advertising people love to talk about how great their work is and they give each other awards about ads like this. But in your experience, you've been in this business for a long enough time to know what these things are all about. Do awards really matter when it comes time for clients to pick agencies? What's your take on that sort of thing?
I love awards. I think it's a fantastic place for creatives and strategists and account people and clients all to gather and look at some great work.
Do awards mean that you get more business as an agency?
I think if you've got good stuff, whether it won an award or not, is a footnote to the good stuff that you have. I mean, I don't think a client's going to go down a list of the recent Bessie, and I was a Bessie judge, recent Bessie Awards, and go, okay, I want to see these guys because of the award. I think they're going to look at the work first and say, does that fit with our culture? And if it does, then I'll give them a call.
You mentioned the Bessies, but I want to talk a little bit about the Cassies. That's a very special kind of award in my view because it recognizes great creative and great results. Isn't that what all advertising awards should be about, not just the fact that they're creative?
You're right. I respect that position they take. It's because, luminaries in the business have always said, it's not creative unless it sells. It's not creative unless it works.
Yeah, precisely.
So for promoting the award that you got, I think we won a Cassie, and that's great execution, great idea, but look at the results. So I think it's a valid show. Is it the sexiest show in town? Probably not, because there's not a lot of craft awards. There's no awards for direction and lighting and cinematography and writing and things like that.
But who gives a shit who the art director was and the lighting and all the rest of that stuff? I mean, is that just us patting ourselves on the back because we feel insecure?
I think it helps the industry. It helps people who are fiercely competitive against each other, brands against brands, Pepsi against Coke, to go to an event, drink too much, and of course talk about the business and see some great stuff, and to be inspired to do great stuff, and it creates courage. A lot of it liquid courage, but when you sober up, hopefully, that courage is still there to fight for good creative.
I think that's a really important thing to mention. I'm really glad you brought that up because I think one of the reasons why awards matter to people, even though they get tainted, by virtue of certain things that happen at the Clios or certain things that happen at Cannes or that sort of thing, advertising awards celebrate creative, and to some extent, there's a bit of a starvation situation when it comes to great creative because clients don't want to pay for it. They think great creative has to cost a lot more money. Does great creative have to cost more money?
No, not at all. Not at all. From a fridge magnet right up to, a television campaign. If you're an experienced creative person or advertising person, you write to a budget. And you have to have a great client. You have to have great account people who agree to the strategy, have the the courage and conviction to say, okay, this is what we accomplish. So when the creatives come in and say, this does it, you can't go, oh, gee, it does it too well. It's too provocative. Does it do the job? Yes. Okay. Then we can, then let us go and do it.
Dave, a lot has changed in the advertising business, specifically when it comes to the media that we're using to actually get messages out. And the most profound change really has to be digital. Search marketing, search engine optimization, and just the actual digital landscape where you're putting tiny little ads into all kinds of animated spaces. Right. What's your take on the importance of this, and how would you approach it from a creative point of view?
Well, it's creatively stifling, first of all. An integrated marketing advertising is the best way to go. Creatively, it's exponentially, there's more opportunity exponentially, but nobody's really doing it.
It's really important to remember that if you're going to do something digital, it just may appear in a digital environment, but it just might be a TV spot that's on YouTube, that you link to Facebook, that you support in Instagram, that you actually support in print advertising. God forbid you should actually run any print advertising.
Right.
But we do this at our agency all the time. It's never just a one-trick pony. You've got to be able to use traditional media in order to actually support the digital media. I think that's the big insight here.
I don't need a digital mind to understand that, we're hoping, when you go to our website, there's going to be a video there, and the video is on YouTube. Oh, okay, great. I get that. I don't have to be 23 years old to understand
Well, don't get pissed off, Dave. It's not my fault.
I hear digital one more time. I need a digital creative director.
You're also an educator. You're inspiring and actually bringing young people into the fold. What's the top thing the number one thing you want to share with them about this industry and how they can be successful in it? Tell me about that.
Well, we've always said, does that person get it? So my job is really to teach them to start thinking right from the beginning again and go, hey, come on. You're the toughest critic when you go into a store to buy something. So apply that standard to an ad that you're creating. So intrigue me, provoke me, make me think about it, make me like the product. Stay on strategy, respect the strategy, but always fight for that, persuasive, creative, interesting, surprising execution, and forget what you think you know.
Well, that's all the time we've got right now. Many thanks to David Van Fleet for sharing his thoughts on the craft and crap associated with modern advertising and branding. I got to say, keep something in mind. It's only creative if it gets the job done, and it's only baseball if the Blue Jays win, and maybe Dave can help them with that. Until next time, keep your edge. It's tough out there.